Hello humans and extraterrestrials. So today we're going to be talking to you about my June wrap-up video. Who did my books go up this month? I have gained 6 books to my TBR, which I think bumps it up to about 52. Although I'm planning on getting rid of some books, so I don't know if it's going to stay like that, but let's go through. First we're going to talk about books that I have hauled. The answer's lots. So some of these I've also started reading, but I'm just going to tell you that I've hauled them and give you like a brief summary, and then we'll go through the ones that I'm reading and all that. So the first book I hauled this month was a book that I pre-ordered but arrived, and that is Out of Love by Hazel Hayes. This is basically a love story told in reverse by Hazel Hayes, who is a director and writer, and also does YouTube, which is how I first discovered her. But she's directed many a short film, and she's fantastic, and I love the way she writes this. And I'm part of the way through it, as you can see. Yeah, this is a love story told in reverse. So the first scene is like after the characters have broken up, and her now ex-boyfriend is coming to collect his stuff. And it kind of goes back in scene by scene there. It's not obviously like like every single thing that's happened. It's just like odd moments that are important, because that's how you remember relationships, as she said. And it's yes, I'm very excited about this. Next I bought a big ol', very big collection, which is the Puffin and Bloom collection. I will show you the books individually. This only added 3 books technically, because I already owned one. But the first is Anne of Green Gables by, I can't remember, Ella Montgomery, which is, they're all like children's classics, if I remember correctly. This is Anne of Green Gables, which, if you don't know, is about basically a couple that go to like adopt a young boy, and then it turns out that it's a young girl instead, basically, and that is Anne of Green Gables. I think I've not read it yet. But these covers are all gorgeous. This, which is one that adds 1 to my TBR, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, which I already own a copy of, so it's not adding to my TBR. However, I needed a new copy because the one I previously bought, however pretty, has such thin paper that like it was ripping and things, and was not practical to read, although I think I'm going to keep it on my shelf. So Little Women. It's gone over here actually. A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett, which is a short story about, do you know what? I don't actually hugely know what it's about, but it's like a kid's story, and is apparently quite sad. But this cover is also gorgeous, and my favourite cover is Heidi by Joanna Spyri. This cover is beautiful. This is, again, just a short kid's story about, I think, a girl who goes to live with her uncle, like an uncle or something. I don't fully know. I know that my mum loves this book, and that's truly about it. But I bought this box set mostly just because I needed a new copy of Little Women. However, I needed one that I was sure that the paper would be fine, would be thick. And I just looked at it and I was like, you know what, I'm probably going to read those books too. So that adds, that's 3 books added to my TBR from that. Next we have a book that I bought with that order, and that is My Sister's a Serial Killer by Oyinkan Brathwaite. Oyinkan Brathwaite, I'm so sorry. But this is a, I guess, thriller is maybe what you'd call it. It was longlisted for the Booker Prize 2019. And shortlisted for the Women's Prize in Fiction. And it's basically about a woman whose sister is, as the title suggests, a serial killer. But one day, and she's a serial killer who's like seduces men and then kills them, and which is super cheery and fun. But one day she tries to start getting with a man that she's had a crush on for a long time, and she's not happy about it. Basically is what I've gotten from it, and it looks so interesting, and people were talking about it a lot last year, and I'm excited about it. The next one I have is another contemporary fiction. This is With the Fire and High by Elizabeth Acevedo. If I remember right, this is the person who wrote Poet X. I could be mistaken. Yeah, Poet X. She wrote Poet X, but this is a contemporary about a girl who basically gets pregnant at 16. 16? 15, because she's 17 and has a 2-year-old daughter and wants to cook more than anything else, but it's very difficult when you have a child and are still at school. And it's basically just kind of trials and tribulations of her trying to get through it all, and it just looks so interesting and good. And I saw Cece from Problems with a Book Nerd talking about it, who, as you likely know, I love her content so much. I think it's fantastic. But this I'm so excited about, so this adds one as well. Next I have the Sunday Times bestseller by Reni Eddo-Lodge, Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race. This is a book, I feel like such an annoying person when I explain this as a white person, but this is basically a book about how in the UK particularly, because that's where Reni's from, people tend to just like have such like an emotional disconnect from white people obviously have such an emotional disconnect from racism and don't seem to understand that it's still happening, and are more offended by like the idea that they could be called racist than by racism itself, kind of. And this is one of those books that I've wanted to read for a long time and got my hands on, and I'm very excited about it. And as you can see, I already started making notes. So this. And the last one that I bought this month, this needs to go over here. The last book that I bought this month was Audre Lorde's Sister Outsider. So this is poem, an essay collection from Audre Lorde, who is, I'll just read you the thing. I didn't know a lot about her, but I saw this and got very interested. Audre Lorde was a writer, feminist, and civil rights activist, or as she famously put it, black lesbian mother, warrior, poet. Who was born in New York in the 30s and died in the late 90s, I believe. From cancer? Died of cancer in 1992, age 58, so yes. And it just looks so interesting, and I'm very intrigued. I just saw it. I was like, oh, I need to add something to my order on Waterstones to make it give it free shipping. And I saw this and I was like, you know what? Yes, let's buy that. So this is +1 as well. So far we have added, I believe, 8 books, but I've also got ones that I am reading and that I have read. So next we're going to talk about the books that I have read this month. I only read 3 books this month. I kind of had a slow reading month, unfortunately, which is fine. They come and they go. Considering I read, I think, quite a few books last month. I could be wrong. Let me check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I read 7 books last month, which I think is a great win. So yes, I only read 3 this month. However, I bought quite a few. So I'm just going to show you these together. I finished Catching Fire and Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins from the Hunger Games trilogy. I read this one at the start of the month, and I read this one near the end of the month. I finished it like a few days ago, and they're both fantastic. This was a 5-star, this was a 4. I think the only reason that this was a 4 was because it's not a spoiler to say that this is kind of more of a rebellion book and a war book than it is a Hunger Games book, because we are all the capital. The Hunger Games are really interesting, and I don't want to say fun because it's a horrible experience to read. Like, that's the point, is for us to be aware of that. We shouldn't be enjoying it, but we still are. But this was fully just like a war book, and that is as important as it is to read that sort of thing. Sometimes it was a lot. There was, my heart was doing I needed a break from it, and this is a book that doesn't give you a break. It was still 4 stars. I still thought it was fantastic. There were some decisions made at the end that I wasn't super happy with, but I still really enjoyed it, and I still think it's a great conclusion. but I was just, because there was like not a second to breathe, I felt quite, you know, it was a lot. It was a lot for my wee heart to take. And actually I'm going in reverse order. The first book I finished this month was The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. This is, why do I have sticky notes? What have I got sticky notes for? Don't know why there are sticky notes in this, because I didn't think I was tabbing this. There's like 5. But this is the second book in his Dark Materials trilogy, and is like a fantasy kind of YA in the perspective of young kids. Well, not that young, like 11-year-olds. And it's just good. It was really good. I think I gave this 4 stars. I think I preferred the first one, if I'm honest, just because I don't know, I think as much as I found Will a really cool character, I think I disliked the way the dynamic changed in the book. And that's a personal thing. Like, it's not anything against Will as a character, because I think he's a great character. I think it's genuinely just personal preference. So, they're all the books I read, less than I thought. And I'm currently still reading, 6 books? So we'll go through the physical ones first, and then we will talk about the ones that I am listening to. So the first book, that is also the first one you saw, is Out of Love. I'm still reading this. If you are aware of Hazel Hayes and you have this book, you will know that there's a chapter titled La Petite Mort, which she is basically not spoiled, because it's not really a spoiler, but that it's kind of like an emotional shit show. And I've kind of been putting it off a little bit, but we're gonna read it. So that's where I'm at with this one. As I showed before, why I'm no longer talking to white people about race, this is I've already explained what this is about, but I've started taking notes. I think there's literally a note. I've not read that far through. I'm only on like page 14, but purely because I like all of my pages are like, I have a lot of highlighting and note taking. Find one, a good one. Like, there's notes in a lot of these pages, and it takes longer to get through something if you're constantly writing things down in it. But I think it's important for me to take my goddamn notes with this. So yes, the next one I'm reading, which you already know about, is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I'm making more progress in this book than I was with the other one. We're nearly 200 pages through, which is fantastic. So I'm like 2/7 of the way there, which is good. I've been struggling to get through this, even though it's so joyous. I just think, I don't know, it's weird. I don't know why. This. And the last book I'm reading is also a non-fiction, and that is Deschooling Society by Ivan Illich. This is a book that is basically about, how to explain it? It's about the, not industrialization, that's not the word I'm looking for. I keep going to say that, but that's not right. Institutionalization of everything is a bad decision, but particularly school. And this was released in 1971. This is a pretty old copy, and I am so damn interested in it. It's such an interesting thing. This was like an old copy that my mum got from like a charity shop years ago, and I started reading it. I find it so interesting so far. So, and the books I'm listening to are, well, there's 3. One of them I've kind of given up on. I don't know if I'm going to do an effort or what. Is The Apprentice Witch by James Nichol. This is like a middle grade witch story. I'm only really listening to it if I can't sleep. Like, that's why I have it. I have it so I can help myself fall asleep with this being told a story, but I think I've kind of, you know, given up on it because I've started zoning out immediately. The next one is Becoming by Michelle Obama. We're still plowing through. We're gonna get there. Another one I started listening to this month is Natives by Akala, which is a book that Akala, who is, I believe, like a hip-hop artist. He's certainly a musician. Like, hip-hop I could be wrong about, but he's certainly a musician. And he basically talks about, it's another book about racism and about it being systemic in the UK as well. And how his upbringing and it was impacted by his race and all of that, and it's so interesting, and it's something that I'm glad I'm reading and I'm glad I'm educating myself on. It's very important, and it's an issue. It's a human rights issue more than anything else, and respect, and it's so important. On that note, there is still a link in my description to that Google document. Please tell me if there's something important missing in there. I would super appreciate it. I know it's not extensive, but if there's a specific thing that you think that should really be in there, please let me know. I would be so grateful. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, you know what to do. Please remember to drink your water, eat your vegetables, and peace out, I guess.